Hey, welcome back to the show. It's February 3rd. Real quick, I want to check in on tariffs again. The left, of course, Democrats, the legacy media, moderate Republicans, globalists, the Wall Street Journal, very upset with Donald Trump's tariffs. There's been a line of thinking since the 1970s that America is too good for tariffs. We're too strong for tariffs. We have too big of an economy for tariffs. We're the number one economy in the world. We don't need tariffs. Well, I'll tell you what, 2024, $1.2 trillion trade deficit. 2023, 1.1 trillion. 2022, 1.1 trillion. We have a serious trade imbalance problem. We have voluntarily, since the 1970s, president after president, Congress after Congress, hollowed out our own manufacturing sector, sent critically important jobs overseas. We have allowed foreign policy, geopolitics, to trump domestic trade policy for 50 years, and we have the damage to prove it. We are a hollowed out manufacturing economy. We have job challenges. We have serious dependency on foreign nations led by China for critical things we need for our economy. And we need to correct our trade policy. We need to correct our trade balance. We correct our trade balance by correcting our trade policy. And one easy way to do that is a wage-based trade policy of reciprocity. And tariffs are a tool in the tool bag to correct a trade imbalance. And yes, tariffs can be inflationary. And yes, the tariffs Trump has in mind can be inflationary. The challenge that Trump has is we've so hollowed out our economy that we don't make many of the things that we consume any longer. And so targeted tariffs are going to be important until we begin to reverse our trade balance, or more importantly, reshore manufacturing. The idea is to put tariffs on imports. The importer has to pay the tax to the U.S. federal government. And then the importer has an option to raise the price of their goods or to eat the tax on their own, or to pass along some of that increase in tax, the tariff, to the buyer in America. Then we have to rely on domestic producers who produce substitutes for those imported goods to not raise their own prices in the face of the tariff. And more importantly, if we put tariffs on goods, the idea is there is a domestic substitute for that good that Americans can choose instead of the imported good, which is now more expensive. But in many cases, Americans will not have a domestic option. In many cases, Trump is arguing about buying a given good just from another country with whom we may not have a bigger trade balance or a problem with fentanyl. And speaking of fentanyl, President Trump has pasted himself into a corner. He didn't talk about tariffs in trade with respect to fentanyl. He spoke about tariffs in trade with respect to jobs and manufacturing and our trade imbalance. If he's going to play this fentanyl game, which is to mollify his critics, I'm sure, what's going to happen when Mexico and Canada or other countries decide not to send in any more fentanyl? What are we going to do about our trade deficits? He's made a mistake here by focusing on fentanyl alone. A good idea, but should not be the driving force. So Mexico has caved already. We have a serious trade problem with Mexico. We have a serious remittance problem with Mexico. We need to change our trade policy with Mexico, not just threaten a tariff on them until they control fentanyl coming across their border into our country. So everyone needs to just settle down and accept the fact that when we have made mistakes in the past with public policy, as we clearly have when it comes to trade and globalization, and the negative consequences for the U.S. consumer, the U.S. economy. Again, 2024, U.S. trade balance of goods, $1.2 trillion. Try to wrap your head around that. There is no painless solution to correcting these problems. I'm glad President Trump was out talking about how there will be some pain. Yes, there's going to be pain. Retaliation. American exporters could get hurt. Increased prices here at home for consumers. Yes. So the pain is going to have to come in order to correct the problem. There's no getting around it. So tariffs are a legitimate tool. Let's correct our trade imbalance. I think Trump's on the right path. He may be already a little askew, but tariffs are a legitimate tool. And one last time, yes, they can be inflationary. All right, the other thing I want to mention real quickly is President Trump has signed an executive order to create a sovereign wealth fund for the United States. Holy cow, we need Congress involved in this right away. Sovereign wealth fund. What are we, Dubai? What are we, Saudi Arabia? We're Singapore? No, this is filled with moral hazard. This is Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. This is outside influence on Trump. Sovereign wealth fund? What a giveaway to Wall Street. No. Not a fan of this. I've only just heard about it. I haven't checked into it at all, but this automatic, my first reaction is no. All right, that's all I have for you right now. Always try to buy American.